In a recent post on the subreddit AITA, Am I the A-hole? A user shared her dilemma about whether or not to invite her older sister to her wedding. The original poster, Opie, a 27-year-old woman, explained that she has been in a relationship with her husband, Jay, for over 10 years. They married in a courthouse 6 years ago, but never had a proper wedding ceremony. Now that the timing is right, they are planning a ceremony and reception with their closest family and friends. As they prepared their guest list, Opie and Jay decided not to invite her older sister due to her consistently toxic behavior throughout Opie's life. The sister's actions include undermining Opie's relationship with Jay by telling him he could do better and criticizing Opie's appearance, particularly regarding her lack of makeup. This criticism was especially hurtful to Opie, who has struggled with an eating disorder and has been in inpatient care. The sister's behavior continued when Opie was in treatment. She attempted to use Opie as an excuse to avoid work obligations and called Opie selfish when she refused to comply with her request during a difficult time. After that incident, the sister did not reach out to Opie for 2 months. The toxic relationship persisted, with the sister often playing the victim in conflicts and failing to follow through on promises to visit Opie and her children. The final straw for Opie was when she and her daughters were in a car accident. The sister did not reach out at all, and when family members, including Opie's mother and younger sister, visited to help, the sister exhibited a dismissive attitude. This prompted Opie to realize that she was done trying to maintain a relationship with someone who brought so much negativity into her life. Despite Opie's family urging her to be the bigger person and invite her sister to the wedding, Opie has stood her ground in deciding not to invite her sister. The community's reaction was overwhelmingly supportive, with many commenters agreeing that Opie is not the a-hole for wanting to exclude someone who has consistently treated her poorly. They emphasize that the wedding should be a celebration, free from negativity, and that Opie has already been more than accommodating to her sister over the years. In a summary of the community comments, users expressed sentiments like, not the a-hole, and criticized the notion of being the bigger person when it meant tolerating toxic behavior. They highlighted that the sister's consistent disrespect and lack of accountability should have consequences, especially on a significant occasion like a wedding. Opie responded to these supportive comments, expressing her emotional struggle with her family's expectations, particularly concerning her mental health and the past dynamics of her family relationships. In a recent discussion on a forum, a user shared their experience regarding the decision not to invite their toxic sister to their wedding. The original poster, Opie, expressed frustration over their sister's behavior, describing her as unsupportive and toxic. Many commenters agreed, emphasizing that the wedding ceremony is a personal event and no one deserves an invitation without earning it. The Opie elaborated on their sister's toxic behavior, explaining that she had always been the favorite child in their family, which caused deep-seated resentment and hurt. The Opie felt overshadowed and neglected by their mother, who consistently supported their sister's actions, further fueling their decision to distance themselves. In a follow-up update, the Opie expressed gratitude for the community's support and advice. They revealed that they and their husband had a serious conversation about their relationship with the sister. Ultimately, they decided they were done with her toxicity and would not invite her to the wedding. The Opie informed their mother of this decision, asserting that they would no longer tolerate their sister's harmful behavior. The mother initially expressed her hurt feelings, but ultimately accepted the Opie's stance, acknowledging that nothing would change their mind. The Opie made it clear that if their mother or other family members chose to involve the sister, they would be cut off from the wedding entirely. They also decided to keep wedding planning details private, so their sister wouldn't have any insight into the arrangements. With a deposit made for the wedding venue, the Opie felt relieved and excited to move forward, focusing on creating a joyful day surrounded by loved ones who genuinely support them. The community praised the Opie for standing up for themselves and making a difficult yet necessary decision to prioritize their well-being. Shifting to a new topic, another post on the subreddit, Relationship Advice, detailed a challenging situation faced by a woman, 28, and her partner, 30. The couple, who had been together for 2.5 years and lived together for a year and a half, were at an impasse regarding their views on having children. From the start of their relationship, the woman had been transparent about her desire to have children, ideally one or two, at some point in the future, around the age of 34 or 35. She stressed that her wish to become a mother was a non-negotiable deal-breaker if they were to have a long-term relationship. Initially, her partner agreed, stating he would be open to having children with her. However, last summer, he expressed uncertainty, indicating that he was unsure if he wanted children at all. This revelation shocked the woman, who reminded him of their earlier conversations. But he explained that he didn't want to commit to something he wasn't sure about. Despite being open to the idea of children, the partner expressed concern over giving up his child-free lifestyle, which he found appealing due to the increased income and reduced responsibilities. The woman understood his perspective, but felt that her desire for children outweighed his doubts. They continued to see a couples therapist to help navigate this complex issue. Although they agreed to postpone the discussion for a year to alleviate the woman's anxiety and give her partner time to think, the conversation lingered in her mind. She worried that if they didn't address the issue soon, it could lead to missed opportunities for both her personal happiness and the chance to have children. This situation highlights the emotional turmoil that can arise when partners have fundamentally different views on critical life decisions, such as starting a family. The woman is left grappling with her desire for motherhood and the fear of potential heartbreak if her partner ultimately decides he does not want children. In September, he will share whether he can envision having a child with me in the future, and we will reassess our relationship then. This approach has been beneficial for a while, but last weekend, we discussed it again, and there was no change in his feelings. This revelation left me feeling hopeless. We spent all of Sunday clinging to each other, devastated at the prospect of our relationship ending. It feels like our situation has shifted from staying together unless we decide otherwise to one where we might break up unless we decide to stay. Since realizing this, we've been more tender and affectionate with each other. However, I am incredibly heartbroken just thinking about the possibility of a breakup. I can't imagine my life without him. I even had to take a day off work because I couldn't stop crying at the thought of losing him. I don't blame him for feeling the way he does, and I understand that this is a challenging decision for him to make, especially being in the position of having to decide our future. I wish I could simply not want children, but that's not the life I envision for myself. I'm struggling to cope with this situation, and I wonder if anyone else has been through something similar. One perspective I received suggested that we seem to be grieving the potential end of our relationship, which explains our increased affection for one another. While I could be misinterpreting the situation, it does feel like we are in a delicate place. The reality is that I want children, and for me, this isn't something I can compromise on. He appears to be uncertain about his desire for kids, but needs to come to a decision soon because this is a significant life choice. The issue with wanting kids is that it cannot be a compromise. It's an all-or-nothing situation. As I mentioned, I have a biological timeline that adds urgency to our discussion. A decision is essential, and while I initially thought he held the responsibility of deciding, I realize that both of us have the power to end the relationship if our goals don't align. Our differing views on having children have created a fundamental incompatibility in our life goals. Even though I love him deeply, I need to consider whether I can truly live with him if he doesn't want kids. Likewise, he needs to think about whether he can become a father if he doesn't genuinely desire to be one, as that would not be fair to either of us. In the comments from a community discussion, someone noted that he seems to be indecisive but may actually know deep down that he doesn't want children. They suggested that he might be trying to convince himself to have a child for my sake, which is not a healthy approach. They advise that it may be best for both of us to end the relationship now rather than prolong the inevitable and make things harder on ourselves. It's a painful realization, but dragging this out will only intensify the emotional turmoil. Compromise is possible in many areas of a relationship, but when it comes to having children, it is crucial to be on the same page. Raising a child who wasn't genuinely wanted by one or both parents can lead to a toxic environment and strain the relationship further, especially if one partner is reluctant about parenthood. In summary, I feel torn between my desire for a family and my deep love for him, but I understand that these conflicting goals may ultimately determine the future of our relationship. In the context of a relationship where one partner desires children while the other does not, it seems evident that this fundamental difference can lead to significant resentment and conflict. A commenter expresses that staying in such a relationship can only prolong inevitable issues, advising to end things sooner rather than later. This viewpoint is reinforced by the idea that when it comes to having children, there is no middle ground. It's a matter of either having kids or not, with no real compromise available. The commenter also references a personal experience of ending a 4-year relationship due to similar differences in desires regarding children. Although the breakup was challenging, the commenter asserts that they have no regrets about their decision. This sentiment is echoed by the community, which largely agrees that the relationship in question should come to an end to prevent further emotional turmoil. Moving on to a different topic, a user shares an amusing yet embarrassing incident that occurred at a gas station. The user, after using the restroom and washing their hands, found themselves in a predicament while trying to dry their hands. With no air dryer available, they attempted to pull a piece of paper towel from a dispenser, but the leftover towel was bunched up in a way that made it difficult to tear. In a moment of frustration, the user decided to pull the towel in the opposite direction, inadvertently causing their hand to swing and slap the backside of another man in the restroom. Realizing what had happened, the user was mortified, especially given that the other man was much larger and more muscular. The man turned around, ready to confront whoever had just spanked him, only to find the user standing there, mouth covered with one hand and a crumpled paper towel in the other. Fortunately, the man was understanding and took a moment to assess the situation. The user, in a state of panic, pointed at the paper towel dispenser while stuttering an explanation. Thankfully, the man pieced together the situation and simply walked away, likely bewildered but not angry. The user, feeling embarrassed and wanting to escape the awkwardness, quickly left the restroom, nearly in tears. The user concludes by reflecting on the incident, humorously noting that while there may not be a specific lesson to be learned from this experience, they now know not to spank strangers in a gas station restroom. The absurdity of the situation highlights the unpredictability of everyday life and serves as a lighthearted reminder of the unexpected encounters we may face. As the discussion wraps up, there's an invitation for viewers to engage with more content, including liking the video and subscribing to the channel. The creator expresses gratitude for the audience's support and emphasizes the importance of the growing community, encouraging viewers to check out relevant links in the description. Ultimately, the creator appreciates the time viewers take to enjoy their content, closing with a warm farewell until the next video.